as our plane broke through the clouds. We landed at Kunming Airport. A bumpy 2-hour bus ride later, we arrived at Ziying town, tucked deep in the mountains. Here, a group of children lives quietly, many left behind while their parents work far away. In this remote town, with limited transport and scarce resources, the future can feel uncertain and overwhelming. Guiding us through the town was teacher Sun Ningsheng. In 2011, after retiring from our school, he chose to leave comfort behind. In his 60s, he came to Yunnan and Guizhou to volunteer as a teacher. Over 14 years, he has built a hope library with his own pension, freely open to the children. Every year, we hear stories about teacher Sun during charity events, but our understanding of life here has always stayed on the surface. This time, Cast Week gave us the chance to step into this world, to see, to experience, and to teach.
You've seen the story of Ciying, the children there, and teacher Sun Yingsheng. But I would like to begin with a question that hunted me for a very long time. Can we ever be good teachers? Let's be honest. We are still teenagers, we are not adults, we behave like kids. Some of the boys can't even walk away from a soccer ball. Our hearts are filled with fear, nervous, and self-doubt. What could we possibly bring to these children? The fear in our hearts disappeared when we saw the children came running. They crowded outside the office door, poking their heads in one after another. When you give your hands to them, you can feel a dozen small, warm, damp hands squeezing into yours. In that instant, all of our nerves melted away. We carried dozens of kilograms of equipment, 3D printers, astronomy telescopes, and a stamp press. Just wanted to show them what the outside world looks like. In one of my 3D printing class, I held a page of a textbook to demonstrate the two-dimensional concept to them. I said that the pages only consist of two components, the length and the width. So it is two-dimensional, simple. Then I held the book uplift. Now let's add the third opponent, thickness, height. So now it is consist of three components, and that is three-dimensional. I pointed to the machine in the corner of the classroom and said, well, that machine works exactly the same way. By printing thousands of hair thin layers, gradually it will become three-dimensional into something you can touch. I thought this simple and easy explanation can help them get a quick start into this brand new domain, but when I looked up, I saw their mouths wide open and eyes full of amazement. Because to them, this is not advanced technology, it's magic. At the end of the class, I wanted to give them some small things as presents. So before our departure, every night I finished my homework, I was sitting in front of a computer that is linked to the 3D printer. The machine hummed for hours and hours, and by the day we left for Yunnan, I got a box full of little presents, keychains, small rockets, printed by the 3D printer. I could imagine the joy on the children's face, laughing, smiling, sharing with each other, picking their favorite one. So, as I planned, I started distributing these small presents in my class. I braced myself for impacts because I was sure these children were going to be shouting, running, fighting all over the classroom. But actually, that did not happen. Instead, all of them rushed the podium quietly, picking up the small gifts carefully, taking a very uh, carefully look, and then put it back gently, unbroken. I think it's not because they don't want them, it's not because they don't like them. It's because they are afraid, afraid of making mistakes, afraid of losing something so rare. The moment broke me. I realized that these children not only lack resources for education, they also lack of the freedom to fail. Think about it. In cities like ours, failure coexists with success. You could try, fail, and then try again. If you mess up with a project, you can do another. If you fail with a test, there's always a second chance. But in places like Ziying, a single mistake might mean losing everything. And as the cost of making mistakes is extremely high, children there don't even dare to take the first step. Without the freedom to fail, how can they truly learn? This also raised a very uncomfortable feeling in my mind. What is charity, really? Is it just showing up once a year, staying there for a few days, taking some photos, giving some lessons, distributing some gifts, and leaving? That's it? Because, yes, we saw the joys in the children's eyes and we have seen the sunshine shine brightly through the clouds. It's meaningful. But what's meaningful to us might not be necessarily the changes to them. Some changes, real changes, should be taking place at that spot. It requires consistency, patience, and precision. So, many of us made a promise. We made a promise to the mountains, we made a promise to the land, we made a promise to the children, as to ourselves. Even if our lives are scattered across the globe and we went abroad for study, we will sure come back to this place. We will come back to Siying. Because if Teacher Sun could dedicate 14 years of his retirement here, why can't we, the younger generation, to take on his torch and march forward? Today, I can't remember each child's name, and I can't remember how many soccer games we played. But I can remember the fragrance of the earth after the rain. I can remember the neat handwriting in the Hope Library. I can remember Teacher Sun's clear figure within the intense storm. And I can remember the sparkling eyes filled with fear, with longing, and dream. That's why I stand here today. Because the promise we made in the mountains are not just promise for themselves, but also promise for ourselves. For what truly education means, and it is the promise I intended to keep. And last but not least, I want to emphasize that this speech doesn't really belong to me. It belongs to all the volunteering children and all the lovely and adorable kids at Sing. Thank you.